Welcome back to TrippTalk. It's Wellness Wednesday, and we got a show for you. Today, we're going over part one of our three-part series in emotional intelligence. Today's series, we're going to talk about journaling. We want to actually talk about how we can take journaling, take a look at our patterns, our how we do things, how we react to things. I know when you hear journaling, you kind of cringe because it's like I don't want to write down my thoughts. I don't want to write anything that's extra time. Da 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 da. I get it, but I'm telling you, if you do a little journaling, it gives you a lot of information to help build some other big results in the end. So definitely stick with me. It won't take long. I got you. Fact is, the more aware that you are of your emotions, the more you can manage them, which is emotional intelligence. You have the intelligence when you are offended, when you're angry, when you're whatever X is done against you, you're able in those moments to have self-control, number one, and empathy to the other person. Empathy, not necessarily because you, all right, I want to be your friend because you just talked about me. But again, I understand where I can go with this and I don't want to do X. Or, hey, for myself, I have empathy for myself where I'm not going to do X, which will probably come back on me later. You feel where I'm coming from? And if you're anything like me, as an adult, what I had to come to understand about myself was that I was really still coping with my emotions as an adult as I did when I was a child. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but again, think about it to its just smallest level. Now, again, you get mad, somebody offends you, somebody does something to you. What is normally your reaction? Kind of just like a child. You throw a tantrum if you don't probably get the things that you want. You pull away or you shy away from people that might fear you or you don't want to get into a conflict with, or that you know you might just blow up and you don't want the shame to deal with it. Or again, you might act passive aggressive, go silent treatment, pull back, don't say nothing. But again, these are things you learn to do or you got from your childhood. This is nothing you just learned. But think about it, you're an adult now doing the same exact thing. At some point, this creates a cycle, and maybe the conditions that you're in right now. I had to figure that out for myself. So hopefully, I could save you some time. That being said, even as an adult, we might know exactly what we're doing. We might know we're doing these things in its totality, and we just say, you know what, I'm just like that. But really, it's not that you're like that. What it is these patterns that you have of unhealthily dealing with and coping with things, kind of these patterns that are stuck. And guess what? They're mechanically running. So guess what? You're mechanically like that. But you can change it. This is where journaling comes in. So what we're going to do, we're not going to make journaling like, hey, write down all your thoughts and all of this stuff for the day. Now we're going to pinpoint on, let's just focus on these behaviors, right? How do we react to things? Let's just learn about ourselves. So what I want you to do is I'm going to put a chart up and I want you to go through and I want you to write down your emotions along this chart. Fill out this chart completely, right? I'll put it on my website, www.tripptalktech.com. Download it, get this, get this document. It is important that you be perfectly honest with yourself during this process. There's no need to lie to you. You can hide the results. You don't have to share this with anybody. But the importance of this is if we become aware of our child's reaction or our inner child reaction to certain situations, now we can, when it happens, we're aware of it, or when the situation comes up, we know, hey, this is a situation that gets me going. And now you can change your response to it. That changes the person, right? Think about it. You can change this response. Then you can change your response to something that now serves you better in the state that you're in. You're an adult now. You're doing these. You're doing these things. You don't have to respond like X. Or again, you're not here anymore. You're not hurt from losing your job or this or that or the third because I'm doing this and I'm doing this or this is my new plan. Do this for a week. And then again, after you watch part two of this, I want you to go back, do it for another week. I want you to do it for a month. Do it for 2 months. And start seeing the similarities when certain things happen. See your response. It's probably going to be a cycle. It's probably going to be the same type of response to the same type of events. And once you can identify that, then we'll start working on responding differently. But let's start here. So get this chart. We're going to download it from tripptalktech.com, and then we're going to start observing just how we respond to things. Hopefully, what you'll find out at the end of the journaling process is that us going a certain way for so long and being kind of like a robot to certain emotions and certain things that and moving mechanically to it, that we're kind of being hijacked by our responses. We're not even really coping. We're just kind of, when something happens, we do what we do, whether that's yelling, whether that's going to addictive substance, if it's whatever it is. Pick your fancy. Once you do your journal, now I want you to take some time. Once you got some information, you start seeing things that happen, how you respond, da 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 da, right? Done. But now I want you to come back and I want you to ask yourself some questions. I want you to ask yourself 5 questions. Write these questions down. I'm gonna put them on the screen. Question number 1: how often do you kind of disconnect or just feel like I don't feel anything when certain circumstances happen? And in addition to that, how often do you find yourself lying to others saying everything is okay or I'm all right when things really aren't? Number 2, how many times or how many like situations do you have where basically you blame the other person for your behaviors? Basically saying things like, I wouldn't have done this if you didn't do, or I only did this because X did this, or only responded this way because this was done to me. That's a tough one. Question number 3: how many times or what circumstances drive you to be passive aggressive? Say passive aggressive comments, uh, do the silent treatment, hold back your love from something or somebody because you feel in a way, or again, which responses, what are you responding to that's making you feel that way or act that way? Be honest with yourself. Tough question. Question number 4: I told y'all this gets tougher. So what things, circumstances, or pain, how many times or how often do you deny or resist the pain with substance abuse? Whether that be alcohol, smoking, doing whatever. Tough. I'm telling y'all. I'm sorry. Question number 5. And like I said, this one is a real one. How many times or what circumstances are you under when you are focusing more on what people are saying or feeling about you versus you focusing on how you're feeling about yourself? With those questions being asked, that's all we have for today's Wellness Wednesday. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's remember our call to action is to journal, journal, journal. You're going to get your emotional intelligence chart if you need a blueprint for it, or you can journal it on your own. But we're going to journal. We're going to take our journal entries about 3 days in, 4 days in, maybe a weekend, and we're going to come back with our responses on the journal, and then go ask ourselves these 5 questions and take our responses, our behavioral responses against these questions. Whole point being is that maybe in a situation that you normally do X, you may be able to respond differently. Again, if you want to respond differently, if you ever run across situations where you say, man, I did X, but I wish I wouldn't have did it that way because I didn't want X and X and X, this is the exercise for you. Handle your business, take care of it. It'll take care of you. Again, I thank you for your view. Next week, we're coming back Wellness Wednesday with Feeling Your Feelings. It's another great topic, getting more in tune with those feelings so we know when they're coming and we know how to manage them when they get here to do what we want to do. So again, I thank you. Nothing but love going out to all of y'all. I hope this episode truly, truly, truly helps y'all. And until next time, y'all, it's Tripp Talk Tech.
Tripp Talk, TrippTalktech. You gotta see it even when it never's far-fetched. Gotta believe in yourself in the process until you progress, till you progress.